Hello, beautiful people out there, and welcome to the next episode of the Dandelion Reflections. Hello, Caroline.
Hi, Christopher, and what a beautiful welcome, that sunny welcome you're offering our audience today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and is there any better way to take life with a sunny feeling in your heart, right? Whatever whatever is
Mhm.
happening out there, the sun is always shining.
Yes.
And
Ex-
just in a quick note, I would like to mention Caroline. Caroline was running a little late to our meeting today. I just needed to say that. I'm sorry. And I
yeah.
really loved the way she wrote to me that she was a little late and thank you for your patience instead of, oh, I'm so sorry, right? And I really would like it's an inspiration for myself, and I would like to invite all of you guys and girls out there to be inspired of that too. Instead of apologizing, just thank you for understanding. Thank you for your patience, and thank you, whatever. Instead of, you know,
Yes. Yes. And in fact, I had you in mind when I said that because you also inspired me to do that. And I was literally running late because I was training this morning. So that's for my self-care. So I thought, we can't
right.
apologize for that, right? We should. And I knew that you would be totally understanding and supportive. So, yeah.
Self-care, that's a nice bridge to today's um, topic. And it's the wording, in fact, isn't something that we use too often. Uh, so the the today's topic is the compassion fatigue, and I really like that expression. It's nothing that's really good, but it's interesting to dive into. And Caroline, what do you understand
Mhm.
uh, from this word or from this expression?
Yes, from being a healthcare provider, this is something that I hear a lot. It's actually the inability to access compassion because of burnout or some kind of exhaustion, right? So, compassion is something that we can all have access to and that can help people heal. When we express compassion or we feel compassionate towards others, it can help a person who's suffering, for instance. And empathy is also it's a related concept. So we tend to use both interchangeably, but apparently empathy solicits different parts in the brain. It's more
Oh,
trauma-based
right.
research, right? It's like you feel with the person. You basically feel what the person's feeling as if it were
Yeah.
happening. When we say step in someone's shoes to know how they feel, that's what we do naturally as empathetic beings. And some people are more empathetic than others, those empaths. They have this natural tendency or sensitivity to feel other people's feelings with them. Compassion is slightly different. It's the ability to relate to another being, but there's some distance. We're not taking the suffering on our shoulders, but we can still sit with the person as they are
Right.
suffering. It's like holding their hand, or you know what I mean? So we use compassion fatigue and empathy fatigue quite interchangeably, but the bottom line is that there comes a time when we're so exhausted that we cannot access the compassion anymore, the empathy. We can't express this effectively because we have not filled our cup first. So it's important to
Yes,
self-care. That's why.
exactly. So it sounds to me that like this is something that certain professions maybe fall back onto uh, for as a coping strategy.
Yes. Do you mean
Like,
the The coping strategy would be,
Uh, um, 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 the compassion fatigue that we that they or we or whatever like I'm thinking of doctors or nurses or police or
Mhm.
firefighter people that they just to cope with all this, with all the emotional stress that they are being
Yes,
thrown into sometimes, that they just shut off and
right.
making, jokes about it, rude jokes sometimes that someone listening from the outside that is not in their world may be
Yeah.
offended by that. But of
Hmm.
course, it's in their world. It is something to to cope.
Yes, no, you are right. So, like first time responders or, yeah, providers, healers, teachers, if there's an overwhelm in their own professional environment, if they feel like, yeah, they're burnt out, there might be this detachment to an extreme, which becomes a dissociation and no longer an intentional detachment or healthy distance. So, yeah, in order to protect themselves in a way emotionally.
Hmm.
Uh, and that's a problem because the compassion is really an important ingredient to actually health outcomes. I'm reading a book right now called Compassionomics. I think I mentioned it before, but they show how compassion makes a difference and how people relate to the people they help and even the
Oh yeah.
outcome. So less
Yes,
risk complications, for instance, after a procedure. Yeah.
exactly. That's so important and so overlooked in my opinion. That and at least a few years ago when I talked to a very good friend of mine who was a doctor in Germany, and he told me that there's no such course in their when in their university time that tells them or that helps them be more compassionate with their patients. And that's something that really uh, is mind-blowing how that cannot be. It's so readily available that this is a fact. It's not something that, empathetic people just made up.
Mhm.
It's proof out
Right.
there.
Yes, and a quote comes to mind, Christopher, when I was starting my training in med school in Montreal, and that was in the 1990s. I remember vividly this teacher. He was an Egyptian, Dr. Ayub. I don't know if he's still alive, but he said those really wise words, and I hope I'll be able to translate them. He said, as doctors, we can cure sometimes, no, cure sometimes, heal often, and comfort always.
Oh,
So I thought it was so powerful because I realized the limitations of our field. Like we can't control too much in life, but there's always something within our control, which is our ability to relate to another person with compassion. So that's
hmm.
how I kind of decoded that we can always comfort someone. That's the most important thing. Anyway, that I thought that was um, yeah, connected to that what we're
Yes,
talking.
it's beautiful. So the empathy battery is
Yeah.
something that's very,
Yes.
very important
Yeah.
to refill once in a while.
Yeah, so exactly. I love this analogy, Christopher, because the compassion is a source, it's unlimited, but we use the battery of empathy, right, to
Hmm.
kind of channel the compassion. So yeah, but like any battery, we need to recharge it.
You're right.
So how do we do that, Christopher? What do you do to recharge your empathy battery?
I love being out in nature and the forest and just walking with the dog. And sometimes I, I, just this morning when I was making breakfast, I was doing stuff around the in the kitchen, and I remembered, oh yeah, let's let's do this compassionately. Let's do this knowingly. What am I doing right now? I am taking this piece of cutlery and laying it right here. And just to be in the now, in the what am I doing just in this second?
Mhm.
Forget about all this other stuff that our brain is keeping ourselves entangled in, and thoughts about, oh, what did I dream last night? Or what happened last year? Or oh, there's some unfinished business with this person, and oh, how will this meeting go next week? And that's not important, right? It's just our brain that makes it important.
Right.
So being in the now, doing whatever you're doing, full of compassion, and I I'm looking for this other very important word. I can't believe that I forgot it. Um, huh, well, my brain. I'm getting old.
You have my full compassion, Christopher.
Thank you. Oh my. Um, well, whatever. Just being in the now. That's what I basically wanted to say,
Yeah.
and it really helps. Or go and hug a tree, literally. That or a rock. We have a lot of huge rocks around here in the Swedish forests, and those rocks have been around for such a long time and have seen so many things uh, in history that we have no idea of, and there's so much wisdom out there. Just embrace it, right, and feel
Right.
it, and that's what I really love to do. Or water. Oh well, I'm going off off on a on the
Yeah.
stroll here. I just thinking of water. Sometimes when you see water running around, running along a creek, this water, some people say water is the source of all wisdom, because it's
Hmm.
literally the source of everything, every knowledge that has ever been there. Well,
Yeah.
we're that's
We're
the
made
time.
of water predominantly. So we're
Yes,
creatures of
right.
water. Yeah. I love that. I love how you talked about the elements as you talked about your self-care. I think that's
Thank
a
you.
good word for that. Yeah, the earth, the water, the
Mm,
air, and fire, the warmth,
mm,
passion, the source, the energy. Um, yeah, that's wonderful. So I love that how you described how you were attentive, setting a table and preparing breakfast and
mm,
going outside, because this is how we can access compassion. If we're too caught up in our minds, like the ruminations in the past or
mm.
thinking a to-do list, how can we express compassion? How can we channel it, right? So I think you really laid the foundation by being in the moment, by being attentive, doing
Hmm.
just what you're doing now and leave the rest, right? So one step at a time.
Awareness was the word I was looking for. Thank you. There it
Yes,
is.
awareness. Yeah, absolutely.
It
You were
just came to
awareness.
me.
Yeah.
So that's being in the now can help us with becoming more aware of what is actually happening, not what the brain is telling us, making up. And so awareness is also something that is crucially important
Yeah.
for seeing the warning signs of our compassion fatigue, that
Hmm.
if we want to go against that, if we want to help ourselves getting out of this.
Right.
So what do you know of from your um, from your role as a professional? Do you know any warning signs that people can maybe see in
Yeah.
themselves?
Oh, yes. I actually like I with colleagues I work on making sure that people maintain some level of self-care. I also treat physicians who experience burnout,
Yes.
stuff like that. So sometimes professional lapses can be a sign of burnout. Person might be irritable, cynical, get behind
Right. Yes. Mm.
on stuff and get some warnings. You need to have that task completed, and there's also a general feeling of being disengaged, so, and lack
Hmm.
of compassion, or feeling like someone has no longer access to that compassion, so feeling like uh, cold, distant, and the patients feel it, right? So there might be some
Hmm.
actions, comments, complaints, even. So I think there are various signs, and also signs that are similar to a depressive episode that
Hmm.
can look like professional burnout. And so I think those warning signs should be an invitation to pause and reassess. Okay, what are my resources? How are my reserves of empathy? And do I find joy in life in general? Because if there's no longer an ability to experience joy, that's also a sign. So
Oh, yeah, very important. Well, thank you.
yes, so we encourage people to not get to that point, and also always maintain a level of self-care. And
Hmm.
it's just like basic, like a good night's sleep or healthy diet. Um, People should have some way to connect with nature and the spiritual dimension of their being in order to replenish their
Hmm.
reserve of empathy.
At a workplace, when many colleagues are falling uh, into this cynicism or these very rude jokes or whatever, then it may be hard to, well, there's this peer pressure, I guess. If I need to do this in order to be a part of them, a part of
Mhm.
this group. But actually, what's important, I'm I think, is that we take this as a signal that we're here might be one or more colleagues that are suffering from a lack of empathy, or that they would might want to need to refill their empathy battery.
Yeah.
And so this why not yeah, maybe talk to the colleagues about this, and that you see these signals. But then on the other hand, people in such a situation may not always listen to these um, colleagues that want well, but I don't know. Maybe we just when we're in our self-dug hole and digging deeper and
Mm.
exactly not seeing anything that makes us happy anymore any longer, and all we know is being uh, uncompassionate and cynical. So maybe it's time to actually listen to colleagues that remind us of refilling our batteries.
Yes, and I think you are pointing to something important, and which is the maybe the institutional culture around self-care and empathy,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
It's a sign of weakness to show compassion. It does that look like the person is vulnerable,
Hmm.
and also, is that an environment that encourages self-care, or it just perpetuates this illusion that no, you're a provider, therefore you should be completely selfless and always sacrifice your own needs, for others. So I think there's that too. I think having a group being cynical, like you explained, could indicate also that it's part of a broader culture. So I think these are all layers to look at.
Hmm. Exactly. So how do boundaries play in there?
Mm.
How?
We kind of touched upon that, I think, in previous episodes, and it's such an important concept that it's nice to revisit, right? But having poor boundaries makes someone at risk of developing some kind of empathy or compassion fatigue and
Hmm.
burnout, right? Because it's like being a giver, it's a one-way thing, but like, how is the battery being recharged, right? So having boundaries allows the person to know when they've reached their limit, or know before they reach it that it's time to actually engage in
Hmm.
something. and respecting those boundaries and asserting them and setting them when people try to trespass them.
You're right. And also knowing what is our responsibility and what is not. Well, we have
Yeah.
responsibility in a
Thank
certain, I don't know, in a certain law enforcement. Just one idea that comes to my mind. Uh, okay, we can take the people that have done illegal things from the street. That's our responsibility as policemen or whatever, law enforcement, and then they're put into a trial system or to court, and if the court releases them, okay, that is not our responsibility anymore. It can be frustrating to see that the next day they're out of jail already, but well, we did what we could in this
you.
situation. But and that's it. That's what it is. What we are here for, right? We are not the judge. We are not the ones that make the rules or the laws. And
Mhm.
similarly, this also goes for the medical system, I'm sure. You are
Mhm.
responsible for a certain treatment, and then if somebody else uses another treatment, okay, you did what you could, and be happy with that and be proud of it because that
Absolutely.
is your part.
That's a great example. Yes. Actually, I mean, I might make recommendations to a patient, but ultimately it's for them to
Wonderful. Yes.
decide,
Hmm.
and I can never force them nor take their decision to not follow my recommendation personally. I feel like I've done my job here, right? And
Right.
and detailing the pros and cons of different approaches. So, and I have in mind the circle you presented at the last episode.
Right.
So, what
Got a
belongs to
coffee stain on it today, but yeah, here it is.
me?
I'm
You're
sorry. Yeah,
saying remind you to have a coffee break. Also, that's
yeah, exactly. Yes, this circle is exactly it, right? It reminds us of okay, this is mine.
Mhm.
This is the patient's responsibility to take their medicine or do what they've been recommended and so on.
Mhm. Right, right. So, yeah.
And somehow, uh, another thought that just shot up in my mind, how is that in relationships, in romantic relationships, when you try to um, make your partner be in a certain way that would be better for your time together, but
Mhm.
they choose not to.
Mhm.
So, well,
Yeah.
that's maybe
Yeah.
maybe a topic for
Also,
another.
boundary, partner's boundary, maybe, or preference. And we have to basically reconcile those different sets of boundaries or preferences, right? Boundaries, it's always a negotiating kind of, process, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes we have to make our boundaries a little bit more flexible,
Right.
but okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Having rigid boundaries is not adaptive. It's like if we're just not discerning when it's time to loosen those boundaries a little bit,
Hmm.
or make them firmer, then it's useless. It becomes just kind of a prison.
Hmm.
uh, but it's just just like we put a mask, during the pandemic, that was a
Yeah.
boundary.
Hmm.
I contaminate anyone, or I don't want to be contaminated.
Hmm.
But then there were times when, like, okay, I need to remove my mask so that a kid, is not afraid, or when it's time to eat, so that's an example. It could be
Hmm.
like a shield also. It's instead of an armor. So the shield can be
Right. Yes.
moved back and forth, but the armor is kind of always there and it's slim, so.
Um, somehow, when you describe the situation with the child being afraid, I'm sorry. I there was another thought that entered my mind, and that was emotional hygiene.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
So we can actually do, and what I think about that is we can that is one of our responsibilities, our own, um, when we not only when we're at work but also when we're off work, that
Mhm.
we not engage in things that drain our empathy even more, like watching the news or
Mm,
horrible movies or whatever. But
right.
just
Oh
be
yeah.
out there in nature or be nice to your kids or enjoy
Hmm.
being with them or your partner or your pets or whatever. Fill up
Right.
your battery.
Yes, I like what you said that we shouldn't do things that are draining the empathy because it's true. Even though we're not interacting directly with people in the news, it might be draining to watch the news, right?
Yes.
To hear about everything that's happening, and it's important to be informed. Don't get me wrong. I really think it's our responsibility, as
Hmm.
humans, to know what's going on in the world and all others are suffering. However, we have to also make sure we get our own needs for empathy filled. Like we might need someone else to also express empathy for us, right? So it we can't just like um, give or bleed empathy. We need to
Yes.
also have our own supply, and sometimes it's like talking to a friend and processing emotions, or a counselor, or writing in a journal. It could be
Hmm.
like self-care and self-empathy, self-validation. That's okay. But yeah, we need to also make sure that we make room for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because what's happening is when it's getting broader and broader, our scope of distress, our our focus on bad things that are happening, not only at work, in our
Hmm.
family, in our neighborhood, in the world,
Hmm.
and you,
Oh,
you
yeah.
you catch up everything,
Hmm.
and you focus on negative things, but then maybe we need to focus
Hmm.
on what can I do, what do I choose right now to make just a little better. We can't
Right.
change the world. We can't, uh, as one person, make world peace a reality tomorrow. But each of each and every one of us can do just a little thing, just a
Hmm.
piece of in the mosaic to to
Yeah,
make it with the world more beautiful. And that's something that we should and have to remind ourselves every day, every hour. Now I did this small thing to make the world just a little better. And that's something we should always be very proud of. And don't
yeah.
forget to, straight out
Hmm.
your right arm, bend it over and tap yourself on the shoulder, on the left shoulder. Just, you did good.
Yes.
You're not out there to, or we, each and every one of us is not out here to change the world, but we can change just a little bit of it.
That's beautiful what you said because I think we don't pause often enough to
Mm.
acknowledge the good that we're able to do. And it's like we're just focused on, okay, I need to do more, I need to do more. And it becomes tyrannical, right? Sometimes we have such high
Yes.
expectations for ourselves, but it's not realistic. So, yeah, pausing and then acknowledging the effort.
Hmm.
And it's very significant. And this is a way to, yeah, recharge our batteries, in fact, instead of being
Yes.
just an automatic mode of giving, giving, giving until we realize, oh my gosh, we lost track of how much we were giving. And
Hmm.
now we're depleted. So I think it's good to have that kind of self-monitoring periodically. And yeah, I think I had an impact today or I made a positive difference for someone, right?
Yes.
It's nice to look for those moments because it really brings some joy to us too, to the giver as much as the receiver. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
So, should we round up this episode with a reminder to our audience out there
Mm.
that we should remind ourselves, maybe even every hour, to be compassionate to ourselves and fill up our empathy batteries.
Yes. Yes. I think you said it. Nothing to add.
Okay. Wonderful. So let's just keep it that way. And
Yeah.
thank you very much, everyone that has chosen to be with us in this moment. And thank you. And leave a comment and like if you liked it. And we are looking forward to seeing you next time.
Yes. Thank you, Dandelions. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining. Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.